Welcome to the Mommy Sleepover, episode uno. You heard it right, guys. We're bringing it back, the sleepover, where we'll be getting up close and personal and sharing our deepest, darkest secrets. Just kidding about that last part. But no, we're going to be talking about everything from mommy fashion to pregnancy to sex after having a baby. Yep. Or what's left of that, I guess. All right. Let's go into our first topic today, where we'll be talking about identity shift.
Because I was the first out of my friends, there was that really exciting part where you're the first one, and there's like all these exciting new changes with your body, but then there's that part where you kind of feel like lonely too, because I think while you're going through it, you're excited and you share it, but there's kind of no one to actually like understand that, but people are excited for you. So I think overall during pregnancy, I felt really excited about it, but it was after I gave birth and the whole postpartum recovery happened, and that's when the whole postpartum anxiety happened, and that was when I felt really lonely, because, you know, everyone kind of expected you to be really happy with this baby, but in actuality, I was like, first of all, in pain from recovering, and like all these weird things happen to your body, and I find myself Googling all these weird things, and I didn't know no one else was going through that with me, and I didn't know who else has gone through with me. So it's very exciting but also lonely process, especially if you're the first one.
It's already scary enough, right? Because you don't know what's going on because it's your first pregnancy and whatnot. But then when you're the first one out of your friends, Google, like you said, is my best friend, right? And then, you know, like Google over exaggerates things. Yeah. You're like, I have a headache. Oh, you might have cancer. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. So like, and then like, it's hard for me. Like when you said it's lonely, I totally agree, because I would have to Google. I mean, I can ask my parents or in-laws, but their method of parenting is like, 20 plus years old. So I totally agree with what you were saying. It's just lonely.
At that time, I didn't really have a community to fall back on, and other women to like talk about little things, you know, or big things, or postpartum recovery, to how I was feeling about being a new mom.
To chime into the whole like not having that community and having your friends there, but them like not understanding what you're going through. I feel like it's important because I honestly, if I didn't go through pregnancy, I would have been the same. But just as an advice, like just ask, like, how are you doing? Like, are you okay? I feel like that's very important.
Everybody asks about baby.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I think we all have great friends, and for me, you know, when I had my baby, a group of friends like sent me flowers and like a little gift, and like I felt, I don't know, just it seems small, but at the time, because I was going through this like really like dark moment, and then when I received that all from all my friends, it just made me so happy. So I totally agree with you in kind of supporting the identity, like that shift, you know, friends asking like, hey, how are you doing? Yeah, I think like simple things like that can really help, like, I don't know, transitioning.
And I found myself distancing myself from my friends because we don't really have much to talk about, and, you know, they're doing different things. Our priorities are just different now, you know? So they're still like, you know, going out, doing these things where I'm like, gotta put the baby down, like I can't do this and that. So I see myself, I mean, I'm sure when I call them, they'll be there for me, but we're just different now.
Yeah. The whole scheduling, like everything from like scheduling of the baby, like the nap time and whatever, to like when you're going out, it takes double the time to pack up, make sure you have everything together, and then head out the door. Like, you know, you have to double or even triple the time depending on maybe like how used to things you are. But yeah, the whole that shift totally changes the dynamic of how you need to run your day, and that really affects maybe like even friendships. You know, same thing with you. I think I kind of in a way distance myself, only because maybe like I wasn't in the right headspace, or I didn't really I just felt like I had to be a mom, you know?
Right.
So
I'm totally guilty of like looking at my pregnant or just had their baby friends and be like, really? Like they need to sleep? Like you can't just come out? I never told you this, but so I got married and Jane had just had her baby, and it was 1 month after my wedding was 1 month after she had her baby, second baby. Yeah. And she was supposed to be a bridesmaid. But of course, you know, she's having her baby, possibly C-section, so like she couldn't be a bridesmaid. But her first daughter was going to be the flower girl. And I was like, oh yeah, like they just need to show up, right? like it'll be easy. Like, you know, baby in the stroller, like one's walking, like whatever, like no big deal.
Made it though. I ergoed him and I made it we stayed till 9 p.m.
But yeah, I didn't even think about like, oh my gosh, like naps and like just like one's walking and the other one's sleeping and nursing. Like, where did you breastfeed at my wedding?
We found like an empty gym and we were like up in the top of the gym, and then we were just hanging out, changing clothes and diapers.
Yeah, and I totally like said, yeah, like Jane will totally be there. I mean, a month's enough time for you to heal after you have a baby. It's like, yeah, it'll be no problem. She'll be there.
I'm guilty of the same for sure, because I just remember looking at my friend like thinking, just get it together. Why is it so hard? That's so hard. That's what I thought to myself, because we have stand-up comedians that make fun of stay-at-home moms and say, oh, life's so hard. You play hide and seek all day. Oh no, you know, like, so that's where I was. That was my reality as a friend, and I didn't know. It wasn't like a super negative thing. It was like her always complaining. She always complained and didn't have time. And I just thought, how do you not have time? What's the big deal? Yeah.
And you know, like I knew like my friends did have that kind of judgment.
Oh no!
And so, no, I'm just saying like I would be the same too if I never gone through like motherhood. Exactly. And so sometimes I would try to portray myself as like, yeah, this is easy. Like I can do it. Like I'm a do-it-all mom. And so I would sometimes go out to like house parties with my 2 kids and like hang out till like 10 p.m. Like I did that like twice and I was like, oh, never again. I can't do it.
Something that I told myself that I would never change, and like it was super important to me that I wouldn't change this after having the baby, was making sure my husband was always taken care of first before the baby, and making sure he doesn't feel neglected, you know, making sure like when I'm okay to, you know, have sex and things like that. Like, because you always hear the stories about like, oh, I don't have sex anymore, like whatever, like it's just, I'm too busy, I'm too tired, whatever. I'm like, I'm not going to be that person. Like, I will make time for it. Like, we'll do our date nights every week. And, you know, just family is so important and we're going to make it happen. So that was one thing that I thought wouldn't change. And just, I think after the first couple months, I think that Jay and I, we were starting to argue more because we were tired, you know, like just not sleeping a lot, waking up every couple of hours, baby's crying, and, you know, just so much going on with the baby. And just, it really brings you, like, just sheds so many layers off and really tests your patience. And I feel like we got into these arguments, and I just like, I'm only going to focus on the baby. Like, I don't care about my husband. Like, I'm just going to cuddle with my baby. I'm going to kiss her. I'm just going to spend time with her. Like, that was, like, easier for me, and just kind of, like, avoid the whatever was going on between me and my husband. And just, you know, it's funny, too, because I felt like when I was pregnant, my husband was, like, way more like, oh, my God, are you okay? Like, making sure I was taken care of. Like, oh, my gosh, you're doing so much. Like, just rest and things like that. And then, I mean, he was like that, too, the first month after. But then it got to a point where I think that wore off. And then there was more like, the dishes aren't done. Or I don't know, like just I don't know, little things like that.
I said always that I would never let go of my body, no matter what. And we're in a social media age where TMZ 3 days after Jessica Biel had a baby was like, look at her at the beach, she bounced back and she has a 6-pack. How? I don't know, but I feel like social media has created these very unrealistic standards for your bounce back body. And it's post after post of what's your excuse? And it's this hot mom with 5 kids, you know, and great abs and great legs, and she's eating well, she's not eating the junk, and she's making all the right decisions. And so I said that that would be me. And I think how that changed was, you know, you're a mom all day, and then husband comes home, now you're cooking dinner for both of them. And then the only time left really was 11 o'clock at night, 10 o'clock at night. And that's me getting in the car. A whole city's asleep. And I'm getting in my car going to 24-hour fitness. It wasn't sustainable for me. I was pooped. I was exhausted. And then the working out at home, not a reality. Completely unmotivated. Watching videos like, what? I can just go to bed now, you know? So that was a very difficult thing to carve out time for, because the alternative was, okay, I can join this extremely expensive gym because it's top-notch childcare. Then I'll put my baby in there, and then I'll be working out with all the other hot moms. That, within a week, she kept catching everyone's nasty cold, and I was like, no, I don't want to do this anymore. So it was really hard to maintain that standard. It really was. I mean, I found my little pocket of time, but it's because the kids are older now. Yeah. But that was something I promised myself. And I ended up totally falling out on that.
For me, in my head, I said that I would be the cool mom and that I would continue working. So, yeah, I was like, I'm going to be the cool mom. I'm going to be the work, like, boss mom and be this great mom. And then I became a stay-at-home mom.
I'm guilty too.
And becoming that stay-at-home mom was kind of half a decision and half like a situational thing.
And you don't plan that, by the way. I planned the same thing. I was like, of course, yeah, I'll be back to work. And 2-3 months into coming back to work, there's this guilt, and they were 8-10-hour days. Coming home stressed from reports I had to do and looking at my baby like a burden, like, oh God, I have to do my report. Oh, she's crying. And it's like, oh my goodness, that's not right. And that finally set in, and I made the same decision. Yeah.
Every day I'm like, you know, looking at my friends or social media, I'm like, I mean, they're doing it. Like, I want to contribute too, to like financially, you know? And I'm like, I want to be the HBIC. I want to be doing all of this and be a super mom. But then I'm like thinking about, there's so many things that go on behind that, like who's gonna watch my kid, like are they safe, like my kids can't really tell me these things yet, you know, and it's really difficult.
And I think this was an ego thing for me, because I, like you said, super mom, and I think inside my inside my mind, I thought the cool mom and the super mom is the one who's working. It's a working mom, but that is so far from the truth. And I get emotional just talking about this, because that's not what it means, you know. It means being there for your family and your kids, and that's what super moms are for me, you know. And I'm still adjusting to that identity shift, and it's always hard for me to talk about this and like without getting so emotional about it, you know. But
moms are totally underrated. Like they don't get appreciated for everything, like all the like cooking and cleaning and, you know, things like that. And it's just sad that it's not portrayed in media enough, like how amazing the stay-at-home mom is.
So my identity crisis, I would say, probably actually hit me when I was pregnant with my 3rd baby, because it was a time where my pregnancy was a bit difficult because I was managing 2 young kids at the same time. And I think I was just so busy with like mom life that I didn't really realize what my identity was at that time, until my 3rd pregnancy, and all my friends around me were actually getting pregnant and having babies. And I was at my friend's baby shower, and I looked around and I was like, oh my gosh, like what's going on? Like everyone was pregnant, everyone was a new mom, and it just like totally like hit me at that time. And there were a lot of people that I didn't know, and I realized like I can't socialize. Like I forgot how to socialize with people because I was only hanging out with like my close mom friends or like close friends that I've known. But like I was always a social person. I like completely did not want to talk to anyone. I didn't know how to, and I was like, who have I become? So yeah, that was when I was like, oh wow, like I don't know how to identify myself anymore.
That's crazy that you didn't have your identity crisis till your third.
Yeah.
Wow.
Me, I had mine about 2 years into my first daughter. We were removed from our community. We moved up to the Bay Area. We're from here in LA. We moved up to the Bay Area because he got a job promotion, and that's right when I decided, hey, I'll just stay at home too, and do this cool mom thing at home. Everything was going really well. You don't think every day about making sure you have an identity. I hadn't even said the word identity in ages. You just are who you are, and you think you'll stay that way. You be yourself. But I think for me, 2 years in, I drove out to the city, that's San Francisco. We lived in the East Bay. Drove out to the city to surprise my husband on his birthday with a cheesecake that I made, and had my daughter in the back. And this was part one of a two-part it hit me crash. And I was at a light in San Francisco, and I saw all these people walking around. And I felt like I hadn't seen people in 1,000 years. I was looking at their backpacks, their suitcases, their hats, and their shoes, and I thought, oh my gosh, and people were talking to each other, and I had this weird sensation that I had been in a cave, and I kind of was. So that was a weird feeling. Not too long after that, I had a breakdown, like at midnight on just an average Tuesday after all my duties were done. I just crashed, and I woke my husband up, and I was in tears. And I said, I don't know who I am. That's exactly what I said. Cracked voice and everything. And he took immediate offense to it. It's like, you're not happy with this? Like, to a guy, this is the dream. I gave you a place to live. You don't have to worry about money. You can buy Whole Foods every morning if you want. Buy organic groceries, have Amazon Prime, and that's the life. So that's all he was hearing. And all I was thinking was, how do I figure out who I am anymore? I'm just a mom. I'm just a wife. I'm not Annie anymore. That's how I felt. Very overwhelming. Yeah. So the transition to finding that path back to myself and piecing it back together was difficult.
Yeah. So how do you get back? Because I feel like I'm still dealing with that right now. So how do you find yourself?
I can, speaking for myself, removed from my community, I'm in a new area. I joined a mom's group. It's the most popular Bay Area moms group. It was not for me. I couldn't fit in anywhere, but I tried. It was my first olive branch to myself. So I took matters into my own hands, and I started a meetup group. It's $10 to be an organizer, and I made a very specific title that was, my daughter was born in 2015, so I wanted similarly aged kids, so I named it Mixed Babies and Toddlers of 2015.
Not that's great though.
It's not very specific, I know. But yeah, so I made a super cute logo with a kid with an afro, and I wanted, my husband's Mexican, so I wanted it to be mixed, and I wanted other mixed families, and that's what was missing from this unnamed moms group that's up there. So I got 50 members. Wow. And I made it a big stinking deal. I got everybody a gift. We had our first get together at the park. Everybody was a mixed couple with their toddlers born in 2015. It was adorable. Yeah, and I felt really good about it. It was something that was mine. I did it. I made these friends, and I have 2 lifelong friends from it. We get together every year, even though I've moved from the Bay Area. So that was part 1, and part 2 was making time for myself, like going back to the gym, even if all I did was drag myself there and just marinate in the environment. I went, and then I made sure I started reincorporating mani-pedi time. And that's really hard because you can see your husband's kind of irritated that suddenly you're changing things up and leaving the house. But it was a shift, and these are all little things that help you get it back together, I think.
It really is the small steps that you have to create that for yourself, the mani-pedi time, creating that group. And that's a really good point, because I think you created that for yourself, and I think for me, I'm learning like that's what I need to do now, because I was trying to fit in. Like I was trying to look for a mom's group or mommy group, and I like on Facebook or whatever, and I just didn't feel like it was for me either. But then on the flip side, you know, a lot, like some of my friends are now moms, but a lot of my friends are not moms. And so when I go hang out with them, I feel like I actually get really overwhelmed when I'm with like 30, 40 other people who are not parents. And I'm like, I don't know what to do.
What do we talk
like, what do we
about?
talk about? And then of course they want to ask us about our babies, but then you're kind of like, I don't want to just talk about my babies. Like I want to be me. And so yeah, so now I'm realizing maybe I need to like create something, do something.
So, and I forgot to mention, I also picked up a little bit of work that I could do from my phone, so I picked up managing social media accounts. It was something that a lot of people could look at as, oh, you don't do anything but watch a baby, but it was for me. It was for me. I knew that every morning I had to post this for someone else. It was my job, and it was like my own little reality, whatever. It worked for me. I did graphic design on the side. You just have to piece it together and do little things for yourself, and even if it is working part-time on something, you know.
I'm really glad you brought that up, Hikari, because that's kind of like the whole basis of this group that we've created, It's a Mom Thing, is to give us an outlet to share our experiences, you know, and then connect with the broader community out there too, and let people know, you know, you're not alone and things like that too. So we're creating our little talk show, you know, we're creating little sketch comedies and, you know, our products and things like that. So it's kind of at the core of what we're doing right now. So, yeah.
I just gave birth, so just when I thought I was getting used to this whole mom thing, I'm like, bam, I have another baby. And I'm like, it's going to be the same thing. You know, it's just, it's another baby. It's what's going to be different. But it's like a whole nother ballpark, you know, like you have 3 kids. I don't know how many kids you have. One, right? It's just, I'm getting used to it. I'm still confused. Identity shifting is coming back all over again.
Is it kind of like a different identity shift from your first?
It's from 1 to 2. Huge jump, right?
So I didn't really, have problems with who am I now with my first kid, because I'm always like so focused, because it's my first kid. I'm always worried and, you know, paranoid and trying to be the perfect mom. But with the second kid, I'm like, I got the basics, but now who am I really? Like, am I going to be a mom forever? Like, what am I outside of this? Like, when you guys are talking about you guys are out in public places, like, what do I talk about? Like, this is my life now. I have 2 kids. I don't have anything else to talk about to anybody else, but I don't want to talk about my kids either. You know, and as far as you creating, you know, your own mom group, so I turned my Instagram into more like mommy community, and I've been trying to do that, and that's how I like try to find myself too. And I've noticed that I'm not the only one going through all of these things, and it really helps me.
Actually, I'm doing something really similar where I create content and blog, and honestly, it's so funny because the irony of it all is that when I became pregnant, and I was like, I'm not going to be a mom blogger. Really? But yes, because I don't know why. I just wanted to be the cool mom who's like out there doing her thing, and you know, like
I'm still me.
I'm still me, exactly. And like I'm still doing my own thing, and oh yeah, here's my baby. But like it really became this like therapy where I'm writing about what I'm going through, and I'm creating content around motherhood, and you know, taking photos with my daughter, and like that really has resonated with my audience too, and like creating that mom community. And so it's just so funny how that's worked out. But yeah, similar to you, I think I'm still adjusting, and it's funny because it's been 2 years, and I feel like I should be used to it. But every mom says like you're not really gonna ever be used to things. But I'm definitely still kind of in the adjusting and figuring out my new identity, accepting it, and really like leaning into it and loving motherhood the way that I want to. So for me, that's where I'm at.
Where I'm at, I went back to work. After my second daughter was born, We were still in the Bay Area, but that second pregnancy, I was depressed. And it was just strictly a first trimester hormonal thing. But it's cumulative damage, right, to my identity. So I decided last March that I needed to move back to LA. I needed my community back. I needed to be closer to my family again, my in-laws. And there was a shift there of being okay with relinquishing control and knowing what's going on all the time. There was a shift because she's 4 years old and my other daughter at the time wasn't walking yet. So it was like, okay, someone's handling my baby, holding her. I was actually driving home exactly at 12 to nurse her. Pumping never worked for me, so there was some weird adjustment there with going back to work, but that's where I stand today. I'm working, and to be quite frank, I feel really good about it. I am so balanced and happy. I really needed to go back to work. I don't regret at all. In a year that I was home, I loved every minute of it. I just reached a breaking point for myself. And I learned about myself and stay-at-home moms that it is the most selfless and mentally taxing and brave thing you can do. And that is what it is. I think the huge mistake everyone makes about stay-at-home moms is that they're lazy and unambitious, and it's total BS. I don't think it's about what is physically taxing on you. It's mentally taxing to put other people first all day long until the night hours, and then you get to be you. So it is the hardest thing on earth, I think, to be a stay-at-home mom. It's just the truth. It's the most mentally and identity taxing thing there is.
Ooh, you're gonna make me tear up over here. Oh,
You say it, girl.
So I'm with you too. I'm a full-time working mom, a special ed teacher, and right now I feel like I'm the most overwhelmed I've been in my life. I think just coming home from work and then trying to juggle all 3 kids and tackle down all the duties I have to get done. I have to pack their lunches, make them dinner, shower them, bathe them, get them ready for bed. And then my oldest now has homework, having to work homework with them. It's like, I feel like I don't know what I'm doing.
It's a good balance, right? You do feel like the work part, you get to be work Jane, at least for a period of the day.
like you get your mind off of the home stress.
Different role. I agree with you. It's stressful. You come home and you're kind of still in charge of all the things you were in charge of before. That doesn't change.
I'm also very guilty because I feel like I don't have time with my kids. Yeah.
Agreed.
I do part-time right now, and it's actually quite amazing. I mean, it kind of just worked out with my current job too, but the plan was for me to go back to full-time after the 3 months or whatever that you get, but I wasn't ready to go back full-time. I wanted to be with a baby more. I realized how fast she was growing, and I wanted to be there for those moments because every day is so different. And that's something that I never really understood when I would hear other parents say, like, oh my gosh, they just change so much every day. I'm like, how much can a baby really change? Like, they like, and then like they do that the next day. It's all the same thing. But no, they change so fast, like their little like face expressions and all of that. And I wanted to be at home for that, and I loved that I'm able to do that, but also work 3 days a week.
Weren't you so much more enthusiastic working this time? I'm like an A+ worker now. I'm so happy to be there.
Yeah, it definitely did help with my identity, though, I think, going back to work, because I've always kind of felt like, oh, I'm a designer or whatever, and that was always a part of my identity. And in the beginning, when I was postpartum, like after having the baby and that month of being home, being in the cave and like not knowing who I am, like what do I talk about, all of those same things. But after the months that go by, and then just like slowly going out a little bit here and there, and then going back to work, but not so much to the point where you're away from your baby. So part-time, I would say if you can make it happen, like it's so great.
I do want to add though that I feel like my kids have really helped me find who I am inside. I feel like I've learned more characteristics and traits about myself that I never really knew about myself. And
I'm so glad that you brought that up in such an eloquent way, because it's so true, because the kids bring out all the things that they're the teachers, right? Like, we think that we are doing the parenting, but like they're really teaching us patience. They're teaching us how to love and how to care for someone else. And then you see them grow up and they're a sponge. They are learning everything from you, and it's just like this like beautiful cycle of life. I love that you brought it up like that, because I feel like I'm finding, I don't know what it is. Is it a new me, or is it just someone, it was always there, but they brought it out in me? I don't know. Yeah, I agree with that.
I think that you're going to get there. Yuri, you have the youngest baby, right? No, but I mean, it's your first baby.
Oh, yeah.
She's not talking
First,
yet.
Youngest, yeah.
Yeah, so what we're all kind of talking about, we've been through, I think you'll get there when your baby is 2 and 3 and interacting with you. You learn so much about yourself. And then you start seeing your personality in them.
I feel like it's been the most humbling experience becoming a mom, and I've learned so much. Like, you're forced to grow up. Oh yeah. you can't do anything irresponsible anymore. And I was ready for that next stage in my life, and I've grown so much from becoming a mom, and also from just that responsibility. I think I've grown a lot. So
literally sacrificing all of yourself.
yeah, like now I understand when people say like it's such a blessing. Like the more and more children you have, it's a blessing. And at first when I would hear them, like, what do you mean? Like, you lose your life. Like, you don't know who you are anymore. Everything's about the baby. Like, how was that a blessing? And then now that I've been through it and seeing like it, like you find out so much more about yourself and like grow it deeper, and it wouldn't have happened if it weren't for the baby. So yeah, I totally agree with you guys.
I feel like you really truly learn the meaning of like what sacrificial love is.
Oh yeah. Totally. Yeah, like you don't understand your mom and everything that she used to do until you become a mom. There's nothing that really prepares you.
How annoying, right? That they were right all along? Yeah. Isn't that so irritating? Because it was always like, you'll thank me someday, and always.
And now is that day.
It is that day. Unfortunately, she was right.
She was right.
She was so right.
All right, so for advice, I think what really helped me recently was just letting my husband know, like, hey, like, I'd like to feel a little bit appreciated, or even just a little thank you here and there would really help me, like, keep going without feeling like I'm this invisible mother where they have this expectation that I get everything done all the time. So I told my husband that one time, and here and there he'll like even like use my kids and say, hey, say thank you to your mom for making breakfast, or thank you for doing all that today. And just hearing that like it like makes me like want to do more. Yeah. And I think also just finding alone time, I think that's very important. I used to just always go to bed when the kids went to bed because I was so tired, but I tried to stay up a little bit more and just like meditate a little bit, reflect, and find time for myself has really helped me.
Some kind of ritual for yourself. The schedules are crazy, I know. Every day is totally different as a mom, but promising yourself, even when you don't feel like it, even when all you want to do is scroll through your social media on the couch and then zonk out. Promise yourself on this day or that day, I'm going to watch an episode of my favorite show and I'm going to eat XYZ, whatever that is. Or I'm going to write in my journal once a week. Or I'm going to go to Barnes & Noble's, pick up a really cool looking book and read a chapter every night. And the hard part, I think, is that you won't want to do it. Because we're so used to, we have this shift to total selflessness and take care of everyone always first. So come that time where they're asleep and you really can do whatever you want for yourself. I'm guilty of always defaulting to not doing anything for myself still, even though no one has needs anymore. Everyone's asleep. It's like, no, I would rather just blob here and feel sorry for myself. Or Google stuff, or be on Pinterest and look at recipes, thousands of recipes that I'll never do. So to promise yourself to do it and to acknowledge consciously that you most likely will not want to do it. And remember that, and then do it. Whatever that is, painting your nails, whatever it is.
Just piggybacking off of what we were just talking about this whole conversation, I think, I guess for just like getting creative, whether that be, you know, painting your nails or, you know, doing your hair and makeup, like just get up and do it, you know, just do it for yourself. For me, it's, you know, planning photo shoots and creating content and writing, you know, those are all creative outlets. Doing this is a creative outlet. I think for me, that's when I find like the little things that like finding myself again and like finding new things that maybe I didn't realize I liked doing. I recently figured out I like to cook again, you know, and I would make my daughter food, and you know, I got into like baby-led weaning like when she first started on solids, and that's what I've been doing like 90% of the time, and that was so much fun because I got to like cook different things and like teach her feeding skills. I don't know, just getting creative in my own way has helped a lot with that, finding myself again.
For me, I would say don't be afraid to ask for help, no matter who it is, because, you know, as a mom, you have this, you know, like a responsibility or a guilt that you have to do everything, you have to be perfect because you have a little sponge, right? They're soaking in everything, and you can't break down in front of your kids, you know, you can't break down in front of your husband, and they're gonna be like, you don't even know what you're doing, you know? So I would always, like for me, I'm kind of like OCD and like anal with things. When I told you when I first met you guys, so I have to do everything for myself, or it's not perfect, or you're doing it wrong if I'm not doing it. But I realized that it's taking such a toll on me. Like one day I was like cleaning out my closet because I felt like it wasn't clean enough and house didn't look perfect enough, and I just broke down in there by myself. Oh God, okay. and then that moment, like I realized I can't do everything by myself, and it's okay to ask for help. And then when I started asking for help, I realized that I have so much support around me, whether it's my parents, in-laws, even my husband, and my toddler. Now he can throw away diapers now. Like, how amazing is that, right? So even like little things like that, I notice it's okay to be vulnerable sometimes. It's okay to be like, hey, today I don't want to cook. I'm freaking exhausted. Bring some pizza home. I don't care, you know? Yeah. And
Oh my God, Postmates has been amazing for me. Or any like food delivery thing has been a whole new game changer for me ever since having the baby. But yeah, I think my advice would be to just, if there's a full load of dishes and the house is a mess, like fine, like just leave it, you know? Like, what's the rush? Like if
Diane's not liking this.
Me too.
like having anxiety listening to this.
She's like, what? What kind of
if
advice?
you want to take a nap because you need it and you don't want to do the dishes, like, that's fine. It's okay. It's totally fine. If you need that time for yourself, if it's you taking time for yourself versus doing the dishes can wait. Or use the dishwasher. I know a lot of Asians don't like to use the dishwasher, but it's actually pretty great.
It's true, because like try to find ways to make your life easier.
Yeah.
You said things like Postmates, Instacart for me, you know, grocery shopping. If someone could bring it to me, use it. Amazon, like use whatever will help you out. Get the pizza. Get your husband to get pizza, you know, because you don't want to cook. Yeah.
Dishwasher. That's
Dishwasher.
so funny. I haven't used a dishwasher until I had kids.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's so amazing, like how sparkly clean it is and no residue. Oh my God.
I'm into it now too. I'm into those. It used to just be dish storage.
Drying rack. Yeah.
You wash them with your hands because you work hard, and then you put them in there to dry. But now I totally am popping those pods in there and running these loads. It's awesome.
Done.
It's good times.
Done and done. All right, ladies, that concludes our first talk show. I really hope you guys enjoyed our talk show. I totally did. I learned a lot about all these beautiful mamas here. And if you guys liked what you guys heard, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe below. Leave any comments, share your stories. We'd love to hear them. We'll read every single one of them. So if you guys are going through anything or need any other advice or have any questions, feel free to comment away. Love you guys. Check in again soon. Bye.